good. So
Yes,
what?
sir.
My only thing is, what about the microphone? Do I need that?
It's hooked up already, right?
I mean, it's laying here. I ain't gonna say it's hooked up.
Is it plugged into the laptop?
Yeah, it's plugged in.
Yep, it's plugged.
Yeah. So, prop it up, just prop it up somewhere. But as long as it's plugged into the laptop, it's working. It's active. Hold on, let me look on YouTube.
That's the pieces. I'm not to lay it right there. It's definitely missing pieces for sure. But I'll make it work.
I see somebody's. That's you.
That would be I.
Okay, but it's kind of frozen.
Yeah, because it's spinning. Yeah, it's spinning right now.
Yeah, you gotta kick everybody off that thing.
Everybody get off the Wi-Fi.
Yo, anybody on the Wi-Fi? I need you to come out of the Wi-Fi before I say bye-bye. Please log out of the Wi-Fi, please.
Yeah, that's froze.
That's froze though.
YouTube is not receiving that video, man.
Single one.
It looks like it's good.
So y'all can see.
Can you hear on your end? Oh,
That's your hand.
it's back spinning.
Yeah, that's straight.
This is good.
It ain't hardly nobody even here, so I don't know why it's bugging.
Right, that's
Your hand coming away when you did it.
Nope.
Still crazy.
Just trying, yeah, it's just moving slow.
Refresh and go back out.
Do you think I should turn it off, turn it back on or anything, or just let it work itself out?
Put your hand out.
No, it was off.
Will it go out? Yeah, you
Can everybody please make sure that you're out the Wi-Fi again, just one last time?
Let me see. Let me go in my settings and make sure I ain't got it on. That's on my Wi-Fi ain't connected.
Thank you. I don't know how behind it is.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, there you go.
It's working a little bit. I'll be a whore.
He said he can hear it.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it's there now.
Yes. It's just behind, but it's there.
Shabbat Shalom. I guess everybody is tired from the previous week. Gotta get some energy stuff for everybody. They got tired over that week. And an empty building. But in fairness, send some special prayers to Trav, E under the cloud, Nate under the cloud, Sister who? Siobhan, Sister Siobhan under the cloud. Who? Zach and the baby. Gerald and his son. I don't know who else I'm missing, but yeah, it's a lot of people under the cloud this week, so we gonna do what we do though, right? Yeah, Johnny just put down a new original, you know what I'm saying, off the top of the dome song. You know, I had to get up and film that. So we'll get into this lesson called The Two Seeds and the Invisible War. So when y'all hear the invisible war, what comes to mind? Spiritual war. Spiritual war. So there's a lot of things that you want. So there's a lot of things that's going on in this world that the eye cannot see. But it is still there. It is still going on. Whether you can see it or not, it's there. Alright? So the first script we're going to get is Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 14. The two seeds and the invisible war. So when you think of war, what comes to mind? Chaos. Fighting, killing, murder. All these things, chaos. Right? But it's an invisible war that's going on. Wars are usually something that's loud and whatnot. But with this, you can't necessarily see it. So Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 14.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 14. You are the anointed cherub.
You what?
You are the anointed cherub.
This is the anointed Mem-Shiach. Read.
That covers. And I have set you so.
I did what?
I have set you so.
He says, I have set you so. Read.
You was upon the holy mountain.
You was where?
You was upon the holy mountain.
So this person was in the holy mountain. Read.
Of Elohim. You has walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
Read.
You was perfect in your ways.
You was what?
Perfect in your ways.
He says, I made man upright. Right here he says, to this being, you were perfect. Read.
You was perfect in your ways from the day that you was created, till iniquity was found in you.
Till what?
Till iniquity was found in you.
So he was perfect until iniquity. What is iniquity?
Hidden sin.
It is what?
Hidden sin.
It is hidden sin. So you sin, then you go into what? No, transgression, and then iniquity. So you sin, then you transgress, and then you try to hide it. That is iniquity. Trav got a great lesson called Sin, Transgression, and Iniquity to show the difference. Please watch it. Read.
By the multitude of your merchandise, they have filled the midst of you with violence.
With what?
They have filled the midst of of you with violence,
Read.
and you have sinned. Therefore, I will cast you as profane out of the mountain of Elohim.
He's going to do what?
Cast you as profane out of the mountain of Elohim.
So he says, I'm going to cast you out of the mountain of Elohim. So when he's cast out of the mountain of Elohim, where does he go? So where at? He comes to the earth. Get me Luke chapter 10, verse 18. Luke chapter 10 and verse 18.
Luke chapter 10, verse 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as a lightning.
I did what?
I beheld Satan as a lightning fall from heaven.
Do what?
As a lightning fall from heaven.
I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So, what got into this guy to make him to fall? Because it says something comes before the fall. So, now we have a spiritual being in a physical world. Right? We got this spiritual being that was in the heavens that has now been cast down to the earth. So he can't touch you physically, but he gets at you in spiritual ways. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 11.
Is Mount Zion, is that, what is Mount Zion?
What do you mean? What is it?
Is that like the literal mountain or is that heaven?
No, it was an actual mountain. Yes. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 11.
Put on the whole armor of Elohim.
Why should we do that?
For war.
For what?
War.
For war. Because there is a spiritual war behind the scenes that's unseen to the eye. Read.
Put on the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
The who?
The wiles of the devil.
The same person that was kicked out into the earth. Read.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
We do what?
We wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Read.
But against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness.
The who?
The rulers of the darkness of this world.
Of what world?
Of this world.
Of this world. So, when you go into war with somebody, or you're about to have a fight with somebody, what should you do with your opponent? You're about to go into a battle, into a war with somebody. What should you do with your opponent?
Try to make peace with them?
That would definitely be a good thing. But they're not going to have it. What? You should do what? Do what? Study them. Right? It's just me. There's no tricks. Y'all can answer. Right? I'm not intimidating. Yeah. You're going to study your opponent. Because that's only wise. If you get two basketball teams are getting ready to play each other, you need to scout them out to see what it is that they like to do. Do they like to pick and roll, or what is it that they like to do? We need to know what the adversary or the enemy is doing before we go into war with them. Right? 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11.
2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage.
To get what?
Lest Satan should get an advantage of us.
Read.
For we are not ignorant of his devices.
We're what?
We are not ignorant of his devices.
So he lets us know that we shouldn't be ignorant of Satan's devices. This means that he has certain tactics and certain things that he used to get you. Right? But what if you don't know his playbook? What if you're not up on what he is going to do to you? Exactly. It's not going to go well for you. So when you on a football team or a basketball team, you have to study your opponent. You scout them out and see what it is that they like to do. Right? Well, Yah himself has a playbook. Have any of y'all read Yah's playbook before? We're in it right now. And guess what? He got the play-by-play analysis in it. Right? So the serpent also has Yah's playbook. He got Yah's playbook. So we're going to see some things. All right? Get me Genesis chapter 3 and verse 14.
Okay. Genesis chapter 3, verse 14. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the serpent.
He said unto who?
The serpent.
So he's speaking directly to the serpent. Read.
Because you has done this, you are cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go.
Read.
And dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman.
You will do what?
Put enmity between you and the woman.
So there's going to be a beef between you and the woman. Read.
And between your seed and her seed.
There we have the two seeds. I'm going to put beef between you and her, and between your seed and her seed. Read.
It shall bruise your head.
It's going to do what?
It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.
Now, if you are the serpent, and you hear Yah tell you this, that somebody is going to come and crush your head, you being him, what would you do?
Like you said, if God's telling you that,
If you are the devil, or the serpent in this thing, and God tells you that in the future, I'm going to have a seed that's going to come, and he's going to crush your head, what would you do? You what? Try to keep it from happening. Because you have the playbook. So now I got to try to stop this from taking place. Right? So he just mentioned that it's going to be two seeds, right? So you just told me that it's going to be my seed and her seed, and you're going to crush my head? And you got the nerve to tell it to me up front?
well, let's see about the serpent. Is this dude think he about to beat a prophecy that came directly from the Most High?
Yes.
Man, I would have been trying to think. I would have tried to think everything right. That sounds like that. You know that's a loss. You know what I'm saying?
That's wisdom right there. But when you are full of something, it blinds you. Right? It blinds you.
So, in the scripture, this verse 14, this is both literally and, like speaking about the serpent and even the natural nature of a snake, and spiritually speaking about the nature of the serpent or Hashatan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it tells you in the first verse that the serpent was more subtle than all the other beasts of the field. This alludes to its movements, you know what I'm saying? How cunning it moves, the whole nine. Like it don't have arms and legs, but you know, it's still moving, exactly.
We were watching something like that last night about serpents and how there was this one serpent venomous snake, and it'll just sit and wait for something to come. It doesn't matter how long it has to wait. When something does come, it strikes and kills it. So that's information.
Absolutely. Can I get some Mayim, please? From somebody, please? Some Mayim.
Speak Hebrew, brother. Speak English.
Can I have some water?
He said, Maya?
Mayim.
Maya, that's the Hebrew word for what?
Yes, sir. See, you learned something. You got your money's worth.
I ain't even paid.
So, the spiritual being is now down into the physical, and y'all is telling him up front that something is going to take place with him. Right? 2 seeds. And I'm going to, again, if the serpent is smart, he will say, I cannot let this happen. I don't want to get my head bust. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's get 1 John chapter 3 and verse 11.
First John chapter 3 and verse 11. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning.
From where?
That you heard from the beginning.
So he's pointing us back to the beginning. Read.
That we should love one another.
That we should do what?
Love one another.
That we should love one another. He says, if you do something, keep my commandments. If you what?
Love me.
If you love me, keep my commandments. Read.
Not as Cain.
Not as who?
Not as Cain.
Not as who?
Cain.
Not as Cain. Read.
Who was of that wicked one.
Who was what?
Of that wicked one.
He was of the wicked one. So, whose seed would Cain be?
The serpent.
The serpent seed. It tells us right here that he was of the serpent seed, or the wicked one, referring us all the way back. Get me Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1.
Genesis chapter 4 verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived.
And she did what?
And she conceived.
Read.
And bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahuwah.
I've got what?
I have gotten a man from Yahuwah.
Wow, she says she got a man. She just had a baby. Why she say she got a man?
And she again bare his brother Abel.
Now go ahead.
And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep.
He's what?
Abel was a keeper of sheep.
Read.
But Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahuwah. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And Yahuwah had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and unto his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth.
Now, let me ask y'all, why didn't y'all respect Cain's offering? Y'all should know. Because what? It wasn't his first. He waited a long time to bring it, so he brought him the fruit that's got bruises and, you know what I'm saying? He bought the bananas with the brown stuff on them. Right? The one that's the peach that hit the ground and got the bruise on it, it's got the rotten stuff on it. He brought that, he didn't bring him his best. Read.
And Yahuwah said unto Cain, Why are you wroth? And why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? And if you do not well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him.
And you shall what?
You shall rule over him.
Read.
And Cain talked with Abel.
He did what?
Cain talked with Abel.
He first and cussed at him.
Cain talked with Abel,
Read.
his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother.
Now, who is Cain of? He's of the wicked one, right? So, if he's of the wicked one, then who is Abel? He's of the righteous seed. Read.
When they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
He did what?
And slew him.
And slew him. So Abel is the righteous seed. So what does Satan feel that he's accomplished right here? Exactly. If I can take this seed out, how can I get my head crushed? Right? This is the thought process. I kill him and take the seed out. Therefore now my head does not get cracked. Smart, right? Brilliant. So we'll see in the script all day that Yah and the serpent is playing a game of chess, so to speak. Checkmate, counter. Checkmate, counter. Checkmate, counter. It's always this thing that's going on. But behind the scenes. Right? So, he has killed Abel. Now he feels the prophecy cannot come to pass because I just stopped it. Genesis chapter 5, verse 3.
Genesis chapter 5, verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness.
He did what?
Begat a son in his own likeness.
So now he has another son. So one seed is killed, but now there's another son. Read.
After his image, and called his name Seth.
Called his name what?
Seth.
Called his name Seth. Seth means compensation or replacement. So even though you have taken out Abel, I have a replacement. So my seed still stands. You killed him, and you thought that you were going to get your head bust, but I got a replacement for you. His name is Seth. What verse you at?
Verse 4.
Read.
In the days of Adam, after he had begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters.
So right here, the replacement seed comes into place. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. So there's a thing in the New Testament. It tells us to be ye not unequally yoked with what?
Unbelievers.
With unbelievers. So as a believer, should you go out and get in a relationship with somebody that does not believe what you believe? Why not? But why does your mind say, I can change him? Well, why does the mind say, she's so pretty, he's so this, I can change him, I'm going to bring him into this truth. Happen all the time, right? So he says, be ye not unequally yoked with unbelievers. But for some reason, both man and woman like what's forbidden. Why is that? What is wrong with us? What's wrong with man? Love it. Again, Black Mike makes his appearance. For some reason, you love him. I gotta, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get one. Something huzzy. But for some reason, we like what's off limit and that you shouldn't like. And you know up front it's gonna end bad. But you do it anyway. Read where you was at, Genesis 6.
Right, verse.
Pick it up at verse 1 again.
And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
Who began to multiply?
Men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
What's the plural of man?
Men.
Men. It called, when they had Cain, what did Eve say? I have gotten a man from Yah. So over there it told us that Cain was of the wicked one, right? So if he's of the wicked one, Seth would be of the righteous ones, right? Should they seeds intertwine and mix with each other? No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't come together. They shouldn't have no parts of each other. Read.
And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim.
That the sons of who?
The sons of Elohim.
The sons of Elohim. Hold what you got. Get me Luke chapter 3 and take it to the last 3 verses. Luke chapter 3.
This is Luke chapter 3, verse 35. Which was the son of Saruk, which was the son of, that name. Which was the son of Balek, which was the son of Heber, which was the son of Salah, which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Arphaxad, which was the son of Shem, which was the son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech, which was the son of Methuselah, which was the son of Enoch, which was the son of Jared, which was the son of Malaleel, which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth.
Which was the son of who?
Seth.
So now it gets down, it traces it back to Seth, which was the son of Seth, which was who?
The son of Adam.
The son of who?
Adam.
The son of Adam, and Adam was the son of who?
Elohim.
And Adam is the son of Elohim. So we have these two seeds. So it shows us that Seth's line comes directly from Elohim, and the other line is directly linked into Satan, right? And y'all see that? All right. Let's go back to Genesis 6 and pick it up where you left off at.
Genesis chapter 6 and verse 2. That the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahuwah said, My ruach shall not always strive with man.
It shall what?
Not always strive with man.
So he says, my ruach will not always fight with man. My ruach will not always fight with man. Hold that. Get 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18. Marco asked me about this verse last night.
This is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18. For Mashiach also has once suffered for sins.
He did what?
Also has once suffered for sins.
Read.
The just for the unjust, that he might bring us to Elohim.
That he might what?
Bring us to Elohim.
Read.
Being put to death in the flesh.
In the what?
In the flesh.
In the flesh. Read.
But quickened by the Ruach.
So we have the flesh and the spirit right here in this. Read.
By which also he went and preached unto the Ruach in prison.
And where?
The spirits in prison.
He went and preached to the spirits in prison. Read.
Which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of Elohim waited in the days of Noah.
In the what days?
In the days of Noah.
So he's talking about some prison, and he goes and references back to the days of Noah. Right? So he's talking about some spirits in prison, and he goes and mentions back to Noah's days. So what do y'all think the prison would be back here in Noah's days? Nobody crack at it?
Water. Being in the water.
That's death. That's death. They died in that water. So he mentions prison, and he mentions back to the days of Noah. Right? No, the ark is keeping them alive. That's not the prison. That's where you would want to be at. But we know we don't want to be in prison. Read that verse again, huh?
For Mashiach also has once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to Elohim, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Ruach, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of Elohim waited in the days of Noah.
In what days?
In the days of Noah.
In the days of Noah.
Before he flooded, it said long suffering.
Yes, sir. It was before. So he's talking about exactly before he flooded. It caused Noah something of righteousness. He was a preacher of righteousness. So what was Noah doing before the flood took place? He was preaching. He was trying to get the people to repent. So he was doing the work of Yah back then. Obviously, it didn't work too well because only 8 people made it through. Now let's figure out what the prison is. Give me John chapter 8 and verse 32.
John chapter 8, verse 32. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It'll do what to you?
Shall make you free.
The truth will make you free. So if the truth will make you free, then what will a lie do to you? Imprison you. So the truth sets you free, but the lie puts you in prison, so to speak. That's why he says that people are a slave to sin. It means it's controlling you, it's over you, it's your boss. So again, the truth sets you free, and the lie will imprison you. Now, we're talking about the spiritual world meeting the physical world, right? Have any of y'all met an angel before? Straightforward question. Not that you were aware of.
My wife?
You're my angel, oh angel. So I guess we all met an angel then. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, real talk. What you got, Huck?
One time, I was sitting in the passenger seat, and we was I used to work at a daycare. My little godson, my little god brother was sitting right behind me. He was a baby at the time. Sharika, God bless her soul, she went into Panera Bread, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat. She said, "Don't fall asleep because Joseph's in the car with you." So she walked in there, and I couldn't remember my eyes closed or me actually falling asleep or losing consciousness or none of that. But it was white like the whole time around the car, and there was a knocking on the door, and I saw something flying right past my face and knocked on the door. So I opened the door up, and I don't remember me opening my eyes or coming out of the sleep or nothing like that. And it knocked on the door and just flew past. So that's my I think that was a divine experience, and I still be experiencing little stuff like that, but I've never seen it except for that particular time.
Yeah, you kind of a sleeper though, so.
It might be,
Yeah, you gotta be knocked out on the spot though. And then you said you opened the door?
I opened the door because I heard the knocking right next to me on my right side. So
You just open the door for a knock and you ain't looking, see, huh?
I never talked face to face with no angel.
Okay.
I did have a little experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah. Yeah, I'm just observing you a sleeper. We good? All right. So none of y'all ain't met a quote unquote angel. What you got, Art?
I think so, but I think it's the same one. You know what I'm saying? It's the sound word, but I feel like I could have been there since I was little.
Okay.
So, like different people. I think the last time, we was out here last summer, and I think it was weird how I had it. I was like, dang, it was like something hit me in my mind, and I just looked, I'm like, it's like I can tell. I don't know, man, I can't really like, you know what I'm saying, show you, know what I'm saying, but it seems still like you hear it, man. And then the stuff that you have, it's like I know, but I can't like show us, you know what I'm saying?
I got you. I got you. So get me Hebrews 13:1. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 1.
Let brotherly love continue.
Like what happened?
let brotherly love continue.
Was it there with Cain and Abel?
No, sir.
Wasn't there. So let brotherly love continue. Read.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers.
To do what?
To entertain strangers.
He says, be not what?
Forgetful.
Don't forget to do what?
Entertain strangers.
He says, to entertain strangers. Read.
For thereby some have entertained angels unaware.
He says, some have entertained angels unaware. You were in the presence of an angel, a Malachim, and you didn't have any idea that you was dealing with a Malachim. So you might have ran across a Malachim and he asked you for $1. And you said, get away from me, you dirty bum. I know you always say that. But some people have done this. What you got, Art?
No, I was gonna say that sometimes I do think the homeless people be angels, like when they run up on your ass and stuff. But sometimes they just pop up like straight up out of nowhere, like you know what I'm saying? Like they just like you were like at a gas station, they just coming around the corner like.
What you got, sis? I heard behind you.
So there was this time where I was out with another sister back home in Chicago, and I stopped at the gas station, and someone told me like, oh, just check your account. Okay, whatever. And it's an account that I don't use. Like I should have closed it down a while ago. I check it, and there's a hefty amount of money in there. I don't know where that came from. Within moments later, I had walked in, came back out with a bottle of water, and then something else told me to go back inside. And the moment I'm walking in, I noticed there was this brother and his child outside, and they were asking for food, and he was just sitting there quiet the first time. And then after I had got up and went to the store, like he could have asked, the gas station was busy, he could have asked anybody. But he stopped dead in his tracks, looked me in my face, and I had told my husband, I'm like, this was different. This was a different kind of look, because he could have asked all these people, it was a busy gas station, but he came and asked me. So the day I got home, and I had told him that, I said, that may or may have not have been an angel. We just had a conversation, like, you don't know who you're entertaining, or who may be sent your way for whatever the reason might be. It could be $1. It could be a word of wisdom you're supposed to deliver to them. It could be for whatever, or they could be giving you something.
Right.
So it's just being mindful of, continuing to walk in the spirit and be mindful of who you're entertaining.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dominique, you had something?
I was just gonna ask, in that same sense, can it also be like you see a homeless person and you just have a strong urge to go to that person? I remember driving and I passed a homeless man, and so I went back around the service drive and y'all was just like, give him the food that you had, and I asked, I'm like, hey, you hungry? Like I was in the crossing the street, I shouldn't have stopped in the street, but it's just something like he really made me hungry. So just understanding like sometimes like people don't walk up to people, sometimes like you have a strong urge to go to that person.
Right. Absolutely.
I do want to, not since you said that, kind of expounded on it, I do want to report because there was times where we used to be real bad to bums. I mean, not bums, but homeless people. We used to jump them and stuff like that. So I do want to repent for that.
Yes, that's wise. That's very wise. Yeah.
Wow. Mama's Snyder
Wow.
No, even if nobody wants to, we just sit there and wait for the lights to change. We got quiet. After we did look at it, he said something, he said, y'all said Black Lives Matter, and y'all waited.
Wow. That's massively powerful. Homeless person says, y'all say Black Lives Matter, but y'all don't even speak. Right? Yeah. So it's a lesson in this. He's saying that be careful. He told you about brotherly love in the first part, right? And then the next part he says, be careful, because some have entertained angels unaware. So it might have been an angel sent to test you, to see how you treat people. Right? But we be caught up in the physical appearance of things. What you got, Art?
So I got a question. We know we're supposed to help one another, as best of our ability. What if we come across the homeless people or less fortunate people, and we know for sure that they're using those funds to further whatever habit they may have? Do we still give, knowing that they're going to do that?
So this is where wisdom comes in at. Yah says that I will never tempt you with what? Evil. Right? Never. So we know that that wouldn't be, if you know for a fact he's smoking crack and this type of stuff, and we know that that's not somebody that's working with Yah. You know what I'm saying?
Now, we don't know for a fact. We just got a strong inclination, just from the appearance, but we don't know for a fact.
So now you're going to have to go into your discernment, right? Your Yah-given discernment to the situation. But it's still a way to do everything. Like, we're supposed to consider our own selves, right? What if this was me? And I'm on the street and I done fell on hard times. Would I want you to come out and film me while you giving me something? No. Again, this is all just being considerate. That's why he's talking about the brotherly love in the first part of this. So we got to always be mindful and consider how we would feel in this situation. So, what you got?
So, it's called together books. I'm really attentive in class. What you just said, as far as him bringing what's on, what we put out back home, you know what I'm saying? He had did that to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was homeless probably 6 years ago. So, and I was out here and I was real messed up. You couldn't eat nothing, you know what I'm saying? And he had to switch what I was giving out when I was younger than that. He had to switch that right back home to where, it was somebody ended up jumping me. You know what I'm saying? So it was like everything was going back into reverse, and I had to really think about how did I treat, these homeless people. And it wasn't just, I got jumped one time, but we done did that to a multitude of people. We'll see them in the alley and do them like that. He was merciful because he only did it one time, and it calculated back. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. If you do it, it ain't nothing random. Y'all don't do random stuff. You did something. Right? So can we think of any instances of people encountering angels in the scripts?
Yes, Abraham.
Abraham. Perfect. Give me Genesis chapter 18, verse 1. Genesis 18 and verse 1.
And Yahuwah appeared unto him Mamre. And he sat in the tent of the heat, or he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him.
3 men stood by him. Read.
And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door.
He did what?
When he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door.
No, he slowly sauntered over to them.
He ran to meet them from the tent door.
Read.
And bowed himself toward the ground. And said, My master, if now I have found favor in your sight, pass not away, I pray you, from your servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort you your hearts. After that you shall pass on.
You shall do what?
After that you shall pass on.
You shall pass on, pass over. Read.
For therefore are you come to your servant. And they said, So do, as you have said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it.
So what is Abraham doing with these 3 beings? We know this is Messiah and 2 angels with him. What is he showing them?
Hospitality.
Showing them hospitality. He's entertaining 2 angels. And he's not only walking, he's an old man at this time. He's running to do what he's doing. He's in a hurry to show him hospitality and be nice to him. Read.
And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it.
He's given him the best of the food. He didn't say, well, get the scraps. He's getting the best out for them. Read.
And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah your wife?
Where is who?
Where is Sarah your wife?
So now it's going to go into something else, but the point is right here, these strangers comes up to him, and he shows them great hospitality, brotherly love. He treats them like he would want to be treated himself. Go to the next chapter, Genesis 19, verse 1.
Genesis 19 and 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my masters, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet.
He just met them. Come to my house and stay all night. Why do you want him to come and stay all night?
Because he knows what kind of city that they're living in.
Exactly. He knows how Sodom get down at night. What's the old song? Who come out at night? The freaks come out at night. What? The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. He knows what's going down in them streets. Here, come in my house, because I don't want y'all to get caught up in what's going on out there. Come on, stay with me. Read.
And he said, Behold now, my masters, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
Oh man, we good. We angels. We got powers. Read.
And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast.
He did what?
He made them a feast.
Wow, he didn't just say, you know what, I got some old scraps that we had left over. He said he made them a what?
A feast.
He made them a feast. Wait a minute, we got them guys, we got them people coming over, so we'll, you know, cook that lasagna and stuff that we got, and we'll eat the steaks and stuff tomorrow. Right? We'll wait for the good stuff tomorrow when they leave. He said he made them a feast. Read.
And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread.
He did what?
And did bake unleavened bread.
Now, what time of year do y'all think this is? He's trying to show us something. The hospitality, all of this stuff, this feast, he's showing us something. Read.
And they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round.
They did what?
Compassed the house round.
So he's showing them hospitality. He didn't want them to go out on the streets, but the trouble came to them.
Both old and young.
Both who?
Both old and young.
Both old and young. So he again, the spirit world is meeting the physical world. He says, be careful that you entertain strangers, because you may have entertained angels unaware. So this is something happening in the spiritual world coming into the physical world. Let's get 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 13.
Kings chapter 6 and verse 13. And he said, go and spy where he is.
Do what?
Go and spy where he is.
Read.
That I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host. And they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of Elohim was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, fear not.
Do what?
Fear not.
So this guy's in fear. How are we going to beat these people? It's too many of them. There's nothing that we can do. So he is afraid. Read.
Fear not, for they that be with us.
They that what?
They that be with us.
He says they that be with us is what?
Are more than they that be with them.
So he's thinking to himself, this just me and you. What do you mean they that be with us be more than them? It's only me and you here. Read.
And Elisha prayed and said, Yahuwah, I pray you, open his eyes.
Do what?
Open his eyes.
Open his eyes. What does he mean to open his eyes right here? Make him see what's really there. So we have this physical world, then there's a spiritual world behind the scenes that we can't see. So Elisha says, open his eyes, y'all. Read.
Open his eyes that he may see. And Yahuwah opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
Where?
Round about Elisha.
So now that y'all open his eyes and let him see what's really there, he's surrounded by horses and chariots of Yah's army. Right? But before he opened his eyes, he got no clue that none of this is around him. Just like every day we go out into the world and we driving around and walking around having no clue that it's spirits and demons that's trying to destroy you. That's got it on their mind that I'm taking you out today. But just like with Job, y'all got a hedge of protection around you. So one of these days, y'all say, you be up here bragging. Oh, I love y'all. I'll never do this, that, and the third. And y'all says, that's my servant. Go and test him, Satan. Go see if he about what he say he about. Here he is. Just don't kill him. And that sickness jump on you. The sickness jump on you from out of nowhere. You don't know where it's from. You've been eating right, drinking your water, taking your sea moss, the whole nine, doing right, and all of a sudden that sickness jump on you. I've been eating right. Why am I feeling like this, y'all? Do you stay faithful? Do your faith wavers? And it make you curse Yah, because that was the goal that Satan was trying to do with Job, right? Again, Job had no idea that what was going on behind the scenes. He figured that Yah is doing these things to me. It wasn't Yah doing it to him. Yah just let him be tried. That was the spiritual world going into the physical world. Right there. So again, this young man, he opens his eyes up and let him see what's all around. Sometimes y'all don't have to use the Malachim or the spiritual beings to do it. He uses the physical the same way that he did with Cain and Abel. Right? Let's get 1 Samuel 18, verse 1. Who is David in the scheme of Yah's plan? Yes, who was David according to Yah's great scheme of things in his plan? What role does David play in that? Through what? Yes, sir. What you got, sister?
Beginning of a kingly line will lead to Mashiach.
Exactly.
Mashiach was referred to as the son of David.
Right. So, read what you got.
This is 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 1. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul.
As his what?
As his own soul.
What does that sound like? Like he says he loved him as his what? Read that again, huh?
As his own soul.
As his what?
As his own soul.
He loved him as his own soul. This is true brotherly love right here. Loved him as he loved his own soul. Read.
And Saul took him that day, and would let him go no more home to his father's house.
So Saul is kind of like adopted David at this point. Boy, I'm taking you in. You and my son is already cool, so I'm taking you into my house. So David is now going to be in the king's house. He's not the king. but he's being brought into the king's house. Read.
And then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him.
He did what?
Stripped himself of the robe that was upon him.
So at this time, Jonathan is the prince. Saul, his father, is the king. Jonathan is the prince. He's supposed to be what? Next in line. This man is taking his robe off, his princely robe, and giving it to his friend. Who else would do that? You know that you next in line and you know all of the stuff that come with being the king is there. But you know that you shouldn't actually have it, and you give it to the person that rightfully supposed to have it. Brotherly love. Read on.
And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants.
So he's accepted of all the people. Read.
And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all cities of Israel.
Wait a minute, who came out?
The women came out of all the cities of Israel.
Wow. So the women came out from all of the cities of Israel. I wonder what they was doing. Read.
Singing and dancing.
They was doing what?
Singing and dancing.
They was singing and dancing. They was cheerleaders. So they just come from the battle, and now all of the women from all of the cities of Israel come out. They singing and dancing. Read.
To meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music.
Who did they come to meet?
King Saul.
So they came to meet King Saul. David is there as well, but it says directly that they came to meet King Saul. Read.
With tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played, and said, Saul has slain his thousands.
Saul has killed his thousands. Read.
And David his 10,000.
But David has killed his 10,000. Give me a D. Give me an A. Give me a B. Give me a... So they're attributing only 1,000 to Saul and 10,000 to David. And he the king. What's happening to Saul right now? Pride. And there's the two offshoots of pride that's coming in there. Envy and wrath. Envy and wrath would be, envy and jealousy would be they close, but envy is here right now, and which is going to turn into wrath. Envy, okay, so jealousy, you're only jealous over something that's yours, right? So you'll be jealous about your wife and some other person, man or something, right? Envy is your over somebody else's. So if I see you with your wife and I want her, that means I'm envy. Jealousy is the other way around.
Like
Yes.
somebody picking up your child.
Somebody else, I got you.
Right.
So me wanting Bodie's beard like earlier, that's the end.
Jealousy because you got it. Would it be jealousy because you got one?
No, it would be envy.
Yeah. But I ain't. I just walk.
So is it the same as covenant?
They lead into it.
Lead into it.
They lead into it. All right. Pick up where you left off.
And the women answered one another as they played, and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth.
He was what?
Was very wroth.
He was wroth. This is wrath. This ain't the regular, I'm a little mad. He heated. Read. Saul is sitting back like, I done moved this boy in my house, and this little nigga think he gonna slide in on me. Okay. I see what you're doing. Yeah. I'm gonna get this little nigga. Okay. Go ahead, Art.
And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they ascribe 1,000. And what can he say more but what can he have more but the kingdom?
Now he takes this that David is about to try to take the kingdom from him. All because the women are cheering for David more than him. In his mind, automatically, he's trying to take the kingdom from me. My son just gave him the robe. Oh, we're going to stop this. We're going to stop this. But David has a specific role to play to bring forth the Messiah. If Saul kills David, what does he think he's going to stop? Even though he don't know that he's doing it, he's trying to stop the prophecy. And if he stopped the prophecy, what would that make Yah? A liar. That's the one thing he says he cannot do. Hold what you got. Get me Titus 1. Verse 1.
Titus chapter 1 verse 1. Paul, a servant of Elohim, and an apostle of Yeshua Mashiach, according to the faith of Elohim elect, and the acknowledging of the truth, which is after godliness, in hope of eternal life, which Elohim, that cannot lie.
He cannot what?
That cannot lie.
That cannot lie. So we know that he can do no evil or unrighteousness, but this is stated directly that he cannot lie. So the adversary's whole mission is to make Yah a liar. If he can make him a liar, then he wins. He wins. So he's laid forth this thing out of his playbook and let you know that this is what's going to take place. In the future, you're going to get your head smashed in, and he's trying to make it not happen. Right? Go back to that 1 Samuel 18 and where you left off at.
And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to men, and to me they have ascribed 1,000s. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day.
He did what?
Eyed David from that day
He's
forward.
looking at him with the side eye everywhere he go. Side eye. He say he eyed David from that day forward. He ain't done nothing but do what you put him in the army to do. You put him over the people. He's just doing his job. But you can't stomach it. What you got?
Is this before or after he was given prophecy? Did the Most High tell him that David was going to be the guy that was going to take the kingdom from him, or did he just?
No, he didn't tell him that. He never mentioned that David was going to replace him.
So it's all like suspected because he's seeing all this stuff.
Yes. He's wearing guilt. That's what he's wearing right now. Guilt. Read on that.
And Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Elohim came upon Saul.
How does the evil spirit from Yah come upon you? Yah just do what to you? He just give you over to what's already within you. Because he's already told Pharaoh certain things, Saul certain things, and he's already went against it in the first place. So when he does this, this is because this is what you want anyway. Read.
And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Elohim came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hand, as at other times. And there was a javelin in Saul's hand.
It was what?
There was a javelin in Saul's hand.
Wow, just so happened he got the javelin in his hand. It just miraculously jumped in his hand. The javelin is in his hand. Read.
And Saul cast the javelin.
He did what?
He cast the javelin.
Oh, he just threw it in the corner because it was too heavy in his hand. Read.
For he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it.
He would do what? Dog.
I will smite David even to the wall with it.
Even to the what?
And David avoided out of his presence twice.
So he tried to kill David. He tried to kill David. So because the women were singing for him, and he couldn't take it, the envy and the wrath got into him, which springs from pride. He said, I'm going to kill this man. So again, if he killed David, what's supposed to not take place now? The prophecy. Saul is of the serpent side. He's doing the work on the serpent side. Let's see a couple more instances of this. Get Exodus chapter 1, verse 14.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor.
With what?
Was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him.
Do what?
You shall kill him.
You shall kill it. So he says, if it's a girl,
then she shall live.
she shall what?
She shall live.
So we ain't worried about the girls. If it's females, let them live. But if it's a boy, do what?
Kill him.
If it's a boy, kill him. What is Pharaoh unknowingly trying to accomplish here?
Stop the birth of the Messiah.
Stop the birth of Mashiach. So the spiritual thing is bleeds into the physical thing. Matthew chapter 2, verse 14.
Matthew chapter 2, verse 14. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt.
Into where?
Into Egypt.
Into Egypt. This is the same place where Pharaoh was trying to do something. Read.
And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the master by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under.
To what?
From 2 years old and under.
What is Herod trying to accomplish? Same thing. Stop the seed from coming into existence, and even though he don't know this, stop the seed from coming into existence. Satan don't get his head cracked. All of this is taking place to try to make Yah a liar. They're working for Satan even though they don't understand exactly what they're doing, but they all trying to accomplish it. And he knows that these people are wicked within them, so he's using them. Okay, what you got, sis?
It's just an observation. Satan's seed is trying to accomplish, without ignoring, like you said, his will, Satan's will. He's working through their pride.
Absolutely.
They don't see the spiritual of it, but they don't need to because he works with their egos being offended.
Absolutely.
They don't even see the opportunity as just being tested, which they could overcome it. Just like Saul could have just, because I've seen with other kings when like a knight or someone who's under him, a noble or someone who's fighting in a war for them, outdoes them, all they do is bring them forth before the people and honor them.
Absolutely.
And then that makes a bigger man of him, and he can bestow honor upon, just like that one good Pharaoh who did that with Joseph.
Absolutely.
He could have gotten jealous of Joseph for being so smart, but he honored him.
Absolutely.
He didn't take anything away from him. So here's a person who could have got all in his ego, and he chose not to, but it saved not only the Israelite people who came in to get the grain or whatever, but his own people. So it trickled down from him putting away his pride, that he could allow many people to be blessed just by not getting in his ego.
Absolutely. That is perfect analysis. Absolutely. So they're all trying to do it. They are all working for the adversary. Because again, he's using their own pride against them. 2 Kings 11, verse 1.
Second Kings chapter 11 verse 1. And when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead.
So I was supposed to do a lesson on this woman, but I never got back around to it. Athaliah. Who is she, y'all? She's the daughter of Jezebel. So they says, as is the mother, so is the daughter. So this is Jezzy's daughter. Read.
She arose and destroyed all the seed royal.
She did what?
Arose and destroyed all the seed royal.
All woman, she is of the house of Israel, right? Because Ahab is her father. And she comes and she's trying to destroy the whole royal seed. Who is the royal seed? It would be Judah. What line does David come from? Judah. So this woman right here is trying to destroy all of the royal seed. Read.
But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain. And they hid him, even hid him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain.
He was what?
So that he was not slain.
So this woman has accomplished something that no other king or any other villain has done. She has killed all of the royal seed except for one.
Wow.
See, it's really eye-opening to me because in the camps they teach you that the Gentiles was the ones that was the seed that had enmity against the woman. But right here it's showing, it's showing that this is Israelites.
Absolutely. He told us at the end that your enemies, adversary is going to be they of your own house. Right? Because they don't believe what you believe. So it's a blessing if you got your immediate family in your belief. Right? It's a real blessing. Read what you got up.
And he was with her hid in the house of Yahuwah 6 years. And Athaliah did reign over the land. In the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds with the captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the house of Yahuwah, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of Yahuwah, and showed them the king's son. And he commanded them, saying, This is the thing that you shall do. A third part of you that enter in on the Sabbath shall even be keepers of the watch of the king's house.
So, in Athaliah's mind, she thinks what? She thinks she has killed all of the royal seed. She believes that she has won. She is the only quote-unquote queen over Israel. There is no other one. She is the only one. And she has done something that no other man or other villain has done. She has almost wiped out the royal seed. If she wiped the royal seed out, this means David's seed is wiped out. Therefore, again, the prophecy don't come to pass. This makes Yah a liar. And a woman is doing this. Read.
And the third part shall be at the gate of Sir, and the third part at the gate behind the guard. So shall you keep the watch of the house, that it be not broken down. And 2 parts of all of you that go forth on the Sabbath, even they shall keep the watch of the house of Yahuwah about the king. And you shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hand.
So they are surrounding this little boy. Why they got him surrounded? They're guarding him. They're making sure nobody can get to him because the prophecy is laying on this boy. We cannot let nothing happen to this boy. Right? So they got him surrounded all the way around, making sure nobody can get to him and hurt him. Read.
And he that comes within the ranges, let him be slain, and be you with the king as he goes out and as he comes in.
So when you see the Pope riding in that little car with the glass on it, and they saying, we gotta, don't let nobody, the people to jump in the way of the bullet so you can't get him or the president. This is the type of scenery that is showing you with this boy. These people will lose their life to protect him because they gotta make sure that Yah's word stands. What you got? Jazz, you got something? Okay. So this is the imagery that's being shown, that these people will lose their life to save this boy. He is the last seed. Read.
And the captains over the hundreds did according to all things that Jehoiada the priest commanded. And they took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath, with them that should go out on the Sabbath, and came to Jehoiada the priest. And to the captains over hundreds did the priest give King David's spear and shields that were in the temple of Yahuwah. And the guard stood, every man with his weapons in his And the guard stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, round about the king, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner of the temple, along by the altar and the temple. And he brought forth the king's son, and put the crown upon him, and gave him the testimony. And they made him king, and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said,
What does this sound like?
"Oh, what happened with David and Saul?" No.
It's pointing to the future
Okay.
of somebody being brought in front of the people, and everybody is clapping and they're happy. It's a picture of Mashiach in the end times. So when Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden, what did he put at the entrance? Cherubs with swords guarded it. You cannot get back in here. Right here is the same type of imagery that they have around this boy. So now he's brought and he's made the king, even though Athaliah thinks he has won. Read.
And he brought forth the king's son, and put the crown upon him, and gave him the testimony. And they made him king, and anointed him. And they clapped their hands, and said, Elohim, save the king. And when Athaliah heard the noise of the guard.
She did what?
When Athaliah heard the noise of the guard.
So she's Queen Athaliah. She thinks she has won, and all of a sudden she hears this noise. And these people clapping and they happy. Read.
When Athaliah heard the noise of the guard and of the people, she came to the people into the temple of Yahuwah. And when she looked, behold, the king stood by a pillar, as the manner was. And the princes and the trumpeters by the king, and all the people of the land rejoiced, and blew with trumpets. And Athaliah rent her clothes.
She did what?
And Athaliah rent her clothes.
When you rent your clothes, what is that? What are you doing? This grown woman is having a tantrum. And she rent her clothes. Wow. She's so mad, she tears her clothes up. She did the Hulk Hogan with her shirt.
Just a limited question about her and the boy. Was that her nephew, cousin?
Yes, because
Which one?
I don't really know exactly, but it's in the text, because it says that the sister of him got her, so they all related. So it's definitely a household type of affair. Read on.
And Athaliah rent her clothes and cried, Treason, treason.
She cried, what?
Treason, treason.
Wait a minute. That's not treason. You're committing the treason. You are the one committing the treason. So she thinks she can cause an uprising. Treason, treason. Read.
But Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds, the officers, and of the host, and said unto them, have her forth without the ranges, and have him that follows her kill with the sword. For the priest had said, let her not be slain in the house of Yahuwah. And they laid hands on her, and she went by the way by the which the horses came into the king's house. And there was she slain.
And there was she what?
There was she slain.
And the whore of Babylon is slain. Read.
And Jehoiada made a covenant between Yahuwah and the king and the people, that they should be Yahuwah's people, between the king also and the people. And all the people of the land went into the house of Baal and break it down.
Did what?
And break it down.
They all went into the house of Baal, or the serpent's house, and break it down. Read.
His altars and his images break they in pieces thoroughly, and slew Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altars.
Wow, so Baal got his own priest. Read.
And the priest appointed officers over the house of Yahuwah, and he took the rulers over hundreds, and the captains, and the guard, and all the people of the land, and they brought down the king from the house of Yahuwah.
They did what?
They brought down the king from the house of Yahuwah.
Notice where they said they brought the king from.
And came
They,
by...
hold on. Where did they bring him from? They said they brought down the king. So if they brought him down, where was he at? High place. Like Mashiach is going to do what? He's going to come down. So all of this is a picture of the end. 2 more, Daniel chapter 10, verse 1.
Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and had understanding of the vision. In those days I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks.
How long?
3 full weeks.
It says Daniel was mourning for 3 full weeks. He's in mourning for something. Read.
I ate no pleasant bread.
He said what?
I ate no pleasant bread.
Does this mean that he's fasting?
No.
He said I eat no pleasant bread. Read.
Neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth.
So he didn't eat no meat, and he didn't drink no wine during this 3-week period. Read.
Neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled.
Read.
And in the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel.
Which is who?
Which is Hiddekel.
Hiddekel. Have y'all ever seen this river before?
Yeah.
In the beginning, this is one of the original rivers. Read.
Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen.
Clothed in what?
Clothed in linen.
Clothed in linen. Read.
Whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face was as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire.
As what?
Eyes as lamps of fire.
Who y'all think this man is in this fine linen and this gold on? Who y'all think this is? This is Mashiach. Read.
His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, But a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone, and saw this great vision. And there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength.
So Daniel was so weak at this point, and his comeliness is taken away from him. He's super weak at this point. Read.
Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees, and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you, and stand upright, for unto you am I now sent. And when he had spoken his word unto me, I stood trembling.
So this is not the same person. It switches right here. So now this person says he's been sent. Read.
Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you did set your heart to understand, and to chasten yourself before your Elohim, your words were heard.
Read.
And I am come for your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia.
But the what?
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia.
So he says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia. Who is the prince of the kingdom of Persia? Anybody? Who is this prince?
An angel.
It is what?
It's an angel.
Would it be an angel or
Would it be an actual man? Actual man?
a demon?
Demon. I'm thinking bad angel.
Right.
Demon.
So he's letting Daniel into the spiritual world right here. Read that verse again. Verse 13.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days.
How long?
21 days.
So Daniel prayed 21 days ago, and his prayers wasn't answered. Why wasn't his prayers answered?
Prince of kingdom.
So it's something that was hindering Daniel's prayers from being answered. So now I want y'all to think sometime when you pray about something, and if it's not answered immediately, that you give up and say, hey, I prayed and man, ain't nothing happened. So you immediately take it in your own hands to do what you want to do, right? This is showing you that your prayer might be hindered by something. Read verse 13 again.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now I am come to make you understand what shall befall your people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake, and said unto him that stood before me, O my master, by the vision of my sorrows are turned upon me.
My what?
By the vision my sorrows are turned upon me.
So what Daniel was seeing is making him sorrowful, because he's seeing a picture of the end. But now after 21 days, Daniel's prayers is actually being answered, and he's showing that something was hindering these prayers from ever getting to him. But Daniel didn't give up. Jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20. Then said he, Knowest you wherefore I come unto you? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come.
So it's also a prince in Greece. Because Greece is the next kingdom that came about. So it is showing you that there is a force or entity behind each kingdom. Now I wonder if it's one with each city. So there would be a force in San Francisco that would be behind the scenes causing this stuff. A force in Las Vegas that would have all of that stuff that's going on out there in that strip. A force over America, period, that's behind the scenes, that's pushing out all of the wickedness that's going on into the world. So he's let Daniel in on the spiritual world. So this is how Satan been working the whole time from the beginning of his fall. He has people doing this stuff, and he has other angels doing it. But at the end, when he can actually do it in physical form. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, you heavens.
Matter of fact, pick it up at verse 10.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down.
He is what?
Is cast down.
This is after the final war in heaven, after the Antichrist declares war to go and fight with Yah. This is when this final war in heaven will take place, and the spiritual world will now directly enter into the physical world. Read.
For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens.
Do what?
Rejoice, you heavens.
So rejoice, heavens, because he ain't up here no more. This dude is so bad that the heavens is rejoicing that he ain't here no more, that he can't get in no more. Read.
And you that dwell in them, woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
But woe to who?
The inhabitants of the earth.
Who is he talking about now?
Us.
Us. But woe to the people on the earth. Read.
And of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having a great wrath.
Having what?
Having a great wrath.
Read.
Because he knows that he has but a short time.
He has but what?
But a short time.
How long is the short time? 3.5 years. That's the tribulation. Read.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman.
He did what?
He persecuted the woman.
Read.
Which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and a times, and a half a time.
A what?
A time, and a times, and a half a time.
A time, and a time, and a half a time, which is 3.5 years. You want to be in this group. You will have food, and you will have protection. If you are not a part of this group, he is at your neck.
So the woman is Israel?
Read on.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and a times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent.
From what?
From the face of the serpent.
From the face of the serpent. It says that Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh. Read.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood.
As a what?
Water as a flood.
What does that mean? Cast out of his mouth water as a flood. What is it? What would you say? Armies. Armies. Hold what you got right there. Give me Revelation 17, verse 2.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the ruach into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color.
So we know it's talking about the woman and the seeds. Jump back to verse 1.
And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters.
That sits upon what?
That sits upon many waters.
It says he sits upon many waters. What are the waters?
People, nations.
Jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15. And he said unto me, The waters which you saw, where the whore sits, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues.
People, nations, and tongues. So the waters here are people. It's an army. Right? Go back to Revelation chapter 12 and the verse that you left off at. About verse 15.
It says, And the serpent cast out his mouth water as a flood after the woman.
After the what?
After the woman.
So he cast out of his mouth a flood. What is he sending after the people? He's sending a... Right, so when you see a multitude of people, they say it was a sea of people. But now the sea is moving. So now that it is moving rapidly, what would it be? It would be a flood. So when it says that the serpent sends a flood out of his mouth after the woman, he's sending his army after the woman to destroy her. Read.
And the serpent cast out his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman.
It did what?
The earth helped the woman.
How did it help the woman? Read.
And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood.
It did what?
Opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood.
So just like it did with Korah and them and swallowed them up, it's going to swallow this army up that's trying to kill his people. Read.
And swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
Which do what?
Which keep the commandments of Elohim, and have the testimony of Yeshua Mashiach.
So again, we see that the spiritual world comes down into the physical world. There's 2 seeds, his seed and the woman's seed. And his seed is trying to take out the righteous seed the whole time to stop the prophecy from taking place. And at the end, the spiritual world is going to come down into the physical world, and then we're going to be able to actually see it. It's happening right now all around us, but we can't see it. But at the end, we're going to be able to see it. We just want to be on the right side of it. And with that, this court is adjourned.
even trying to destroy that seed in her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's even on that end, um, and then like even with my children, I understand how like the enemy has tried to destroy the continuation of his seed on that end with our circumstance as well. So it's not only on a big scale, but it gets to where it's like micromanaged in everybody's life as well.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000.
I just wanted to comment on that beautiful phrase, y'all, that lesson. Just as Dee just said about the personal, like I have come to learn from Yah's wisdom that coming down. When I take my eyes off of the situation in the physical as such, the powers that be, whatever is in my life, like seeing a person or institution or something messing up things in my life or whatever, I have to regroup and think that, and I used to always say and still do, that the weirder something is, Yah's, the forces that are unseen are at play. Yet let Yah do his thing. And it brings peace in itself. When you think you can handle it, but you know it's bigger than you, that's where the frustration comes in, because you're beating your mind up, beating yourself up, trying to figure out what to do, what they're doing, and your eyes are on every little thing that somebody's doing, when it's not really about that when it comes to your trying to live for the Most High. Satan has a plot and a scheme to try to take you out, and that's what it's really about. Even people all of a sudden acting out of character, instead of trying to figure out, sometimes we just can't figure out why people act so weird and out of character. Sometimes God's trying to get you to move. I found out from my own experience, like when the pastor, the church I used to go to, was just acting off the hook against me, which was going to mess him up, because I was, the stage set designer there, getting upset about all kinds of things. And once I took my eyes off of what's wrong with him and thought about, you remember how you realized it was time for you to move on? Well, Yah is putting the fire on you. You can't stand it anymore. So don't look so much at, why is he acting like this? I'm going to, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go talk to him and let him try to figure it out myself. Just let Yah work these things and realize what he's trying to do, most of all. And so that led me on my journey, which led me here, and now I'm at peace, because all the questions that I had for years in the Christian church, because I was in Christianity, because I thought that was the closest that you could get to being the right with the scriptures. But I would keep reading the scriptures, and I said, well, where did we get that from? How did that come in here? This doesn't seem like, and I fell in love with so-called biblical movies, because I was like, it's so simple. These people are doing what they're told to do by this demonstration of what Yah told them. And I said, where did the Christian church get all this extra stuff? And it was annoying me, although in the flesh you enjoy it, like Christmas and all kinds of things, the flesh, but my spirit was like, but this isn't it. And I said, but nobody's doing that. Maybe I'm just trying to be too biblical or whatever. I'm just thankful, just following that spirit to be in the right place at the right time. You don't have to worry.
Absolutely, praise God.
Right, hallelujah. I just wanted to kind of comment on something Sister was saying. Like you said, when you get to church and you like, they up there preaching and doing all this, on the Bible study, I'm like, I'm just the dumbest I can be. I can't understand it. I'm not. It just wasn't. It was not reaching me. I just be there. And like it says, coming into this truth and seeing how Moses and how was the serpent and dealing with with being Cain and showing what is Mashiach's seed and what is the serpent seed and all this. Now you see it, and you just elaborated on it back here in Revelation. You can see it tying together. But the churches, it never ties together. Like you said, they use these inspirational speeches that have you all high on life, pretty much of what you're going through. But seeing now how these scriptures are really coming together as you all, break them down and show us the realness in them. And it's like it really makes a big difference on, understanding how the scriptures is brought. It makes a big difference. I praise y'all.
See, they're supposed to be broke down where a child can get it. Right? But we got a lot of people who teach the book and they try to do it in a scholarly way. That don't work. It don't translate. It doesn't work because Mashiach wasn't about that. You know what I'm saying? That's why they says, he from Nazareth. Can anything good come from there? And I put a video in the box that shows you about education. So the more educated you are, the easier it is to be deceived because you hang your hat on it. This is what you're proud of. See, I'm the valedictorian of my class. I'm this first and this and this. And it puffs you up, which is going to automatically make you look down on the people. Right? So this stuff is supposed to be broke down really, really simple. And it's supposed to be broke down so you can see it of what's actually taking place, not to be over people's heads. That's what it's about, making you be able to see it and relate it to your own personal life. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it's supposed to be broke down, not this fairy tale stuff. It's very, very simple. The book is very, very simple when you understand how Yah got patterns all through the books. So once you see he uses 2 water bottles and 2 water bottles and 2 water bottles, and all of a sudden a shoe is there, something is wrong. The pattern has been broken. Something is wrong with that picture. Somebody put that shoe there because it don't be there. It's supposed to be 2 water bottles, but that somebody put that shoe there. You got to figure this out and say, that don't match the pattern of how y'all do his work. Once you get that, a lot of this stuff is actually easy.
This pastor's actually, I'm thinking an example specifically, and not so much about the person, because I'm sure he's not the only one, but it's just the days we're living in. Actually discouraged, his Bible class actually was discouraging and making fun of people who try to study the book of Revelation. Saying, they're talking about the bowls this and the bowls that, and laughing and saying, after the second chapter, that's all I'm concerned about. That other stuff don't have nothing to do with it. And then, amen. And I was like, oh, that's scary. If it's not for people to read, if it's not for us, what are you doing there? What are you doing?
Right, that's right.
And that's why they think these fairy tale things like St. Peter's going to be at the gate. There's one gate. It's a big time family reunion. And we walk on streets of gold. And that's about all you get out of the average Christian.
See, this is what's so dangerous and scary about what he was teaching them people, right? Peep this. This is Revelations 1:1. The revelations of Yahushua HaMashiach, which Elohim gave unto him to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his Malachim unto the servant John, who bear record of the word of Elohim and of the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach and of all things that he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So he tells you, you blessed if you hear the words of this prophecy. You telling them, don't let nobody read that stuff to you. Directly taking the blessing from them. Blessed is he that reads this and hears it and does it. That man is directly working for the adversary. He don't want them to be blessed.
They want people to listen to them. It's like instead of funneling their pastors through the word, and if he don't match up, he's got to go. It's the other way around.
Exactly.
You know, like they'll hear somebody speak a truth about the scriptures that may be odd to them. They'll run to their pastor, tell him about it. He don't even have to use word to knock it out. And they're like, oh, good. I don't have to do that.
Yes.
Why don't you have to do that? Because my pastor did. Right. And that's the whole mindset. My pastor can wash away any scripture that he wants to.
Because it feels good. Like when I was getting ready to come out of the church, when I was asking my pastor these questions every week, when I had started understanding and reading for myself, and I was trying to actually put the book down because it was messing my life up. All the stuff I like to do, the book was condemning me and making me not be able to do it. So I say, I'm finna stop reading this. It's messing me up. And then Hosea came, if you reject knowledge, I will also reject you. I said, oh, I can't even put it down. He gonna get me from that way. And I'm studying again, and the Hebrews 10 and 26 pops up. And it says, if you sin willfully, after you have received the love of the truth, there remains no more sacrifice for sin. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Did this just say what I think it said? Now I know exactly what it said. I took this to the pastor and I asked him, Reverend Walker, what does this scripture mean? He read it. Oh no. The Lord got to forgive you. No matter what you do, he got to forgive you. And for 0.2 seconds, I was like, no. That didn't say that. That said, if you sin willfully, it ain't no more sacrifice for sin. That's when I got firm with him. No, that don't say that. Oh, see, you listening to too much stuff, and you're doing this and this and this, and you're going to get out of the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. But I'm reading the Bible. I didn't bring no other book in here to say, I'm reading this out of here that say this. Now, again, I wanted to believe them. But at this time, the spidey senses kicked in. No. That's when I really knew, you lying. You know better. And right after this, I'm not going back no more. I felt guilty the first couple of times I didn't go. Mama say, boy, you ain't coming back to church? No, Mom. They lying. I ain't coming back. I ain't never coming back. Never. Because now I can see that you telling a lie. And I waited for a while and I studied and I got myself together and I say, I'm ready. Let's go have it out with the pastor. Sat in that crowd and proud in the mug. Finish your little silly Sunday service. Finish. She said, okay, anybody got any questions? Me, I do. Now again, they don't even know me. I don't even talk at church. Nobody don't really know me. I don't say nothing at church. Exactly. All of a sudden, I'm sitting there and I raise my hand. First and fast, Me, I got some. Why we here on Sunday? Why y'all here on Sunday? I say, he ordained the Sabbath, which is Saturday. She said, well, you know, the Lord made all the days. And all the people, that's right. And my crowd was there like, shut your stupid mouth up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, he made all the days, but he only sanctified and blessed one. He sanctified and he only blessed one day. Show me that he sanctified the rest of them. Well, I mean, if you want to think it's like this, and I'm so hot, and I'm in there, and I get up in the church, and I, bam, and hit the thing, like, if y'all want the truth, come over my mama. Come over my mama house. This ain't nothing but a bunch of lies in here. I wanted to kick the bench over and walk out. It was so hot. Oh, I got that in the call with mama. Oh, your son is so disrespectful. He said, now again, I'm the quietest dude ever in church. I don't talk at all. But now I done did this completely wrong. But I was so mad. Y'all are sitting up here teaching nothing but lies. All of it is lies. And now I know for a fact, you know you lying. That's what really bothered me. You know you lying. Now I'm thinking about all my tithe money that I done spent in here. How can I take these people to court and get my money back? All the times I done doubled up. Like, I done dang, I missed last week, so I'm gonna have to double up and put a little extra in there. Complete foolishness. Oh my goodness. How many thousands of dollars did you pay these crooks? Hey, put it in the offering. Put it in the offering. That's what we need. We not gonna get no suits or nothing out of it. Put it in the offering.
You know the scripture, all you all probably are familiar with the scripture that they use in Christianity, at least in the black church. If you question, not scripture, you can question scripture. I don't know either, girl. I don't know, that's too deep for me. But if you question the pastor, what is that? Do my prophets know?
Touch not my anointed.
That's not my anointed. That's how they get you off of saying anything against what your pastor says.
I got preached on about bringing up stuff.
You do it like the ultimate sinner. If you speak against the pastor, that is what they act like is blasphemy, not being unsure about, you can start saying, I don't think, you could say, I'll probably say, I don't think the Most High loves me and all that kind of stuff, things that they really should be rebuking. And they'll catch you up and say, girl, because I had, years ago, one of the Christians, whoever told me this, come on, well, if you slip up, come on, sexually, whatever. Well, because I was told I want to get married, but I want to do this thing right. Oh, you still a virgin? Well, God will understand. I'm suffering, but I'd rather suffer. You want me to go to hell? I'm not saying you go to hell if you. I'm saying their advice was, don't act like it's a problem. Just follow your flesh. You get the level up there, whatever. So there's these people who come supposedly comforting you and advising you to do the wrong thing. And people will do that. They'll try to let you entertain your flesh.
Because it's what you want. Is there anything on that chat? Like, I gotta be responsible.
No, I didn't read it.
This was a good word.
Before we,
Praise y'all.
before we get to the chat, can you help me understand, where it talks about, and it's kind of like, if you want to explain it to me later, we can dismiss it and eat. But, when he fed the multitude, 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, thinking, 2 little fish, but who says they were little? Could have been 2 whales or whatever. Can you?
There was no will, there was clean, but go ahead.
Can you explain to me, quickly, you don't want to hold the people up. What's that about?
He's showing you that I can do anything, I can do all things, right? This is basically what he's showing you, that I can take what is absolutely nothing and turn it into something. I can do anything, because now I'm going to try to take you somewhere. Where did dirt come from?
Where does dirt come from? The earth?
The earth is dirt. Before it was the earth, where did it come from? From nothing to something. He made it. Right? Where did water come from?
Just made it.
He made it. So at one time, there was no thing called water. And out of nothing, I was about to say out of thin air, but it wasn't no air at one time. He made it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what he's trying to show you, that I can do anything. This is impossible for us, but for me, this is nothing. So this is what he's showing you in this thing. So when you say that because a lot of things, the reason why everybody's afraid of the mark of the beast, because it's about eating, right? And he's showing you I can take nothing and feed a multitude. This is what he's trying to show you with that story.
So they literally ate fish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not a metaphor. Yep. That's what he's showing you, that I can do anything. Just like when Sarah and Abraham, he purposely let them get too old to have children. So Sarah is 90 years old, and she says it's beyond the time of women. So she's in past the menopause stage or whatever. She's in the hot flashes and all this stuff. And he purposely let her get old, and he purposely let Abraham get too old to have children. That's why they laughed and fell on their face laughing. He think he can make me have a baby, I'm too old. He got mad. What? He says, is anything too hard for me? Is anything too hard for me? Don't you see that sun up there? I put it up there. Don't you see that moon that do this and change every night? I did that. You see all that water, the waterfalls and stuff? I designed that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he's basically trying to show them that I can do anything. Nothing is too hard for me.
So what you said that every time this is basically said, this is really where I go to. So really, down deep, we really ain't really trusting y'all. Because I guess if we still running to these doctors and still taking their advice and all of this, we really not trusting them, aren't we? And that's what I was saying. This is what I guess a lot of things in actuality, when you really look at it, we really ain't trusting God 100, as we say 100. We really is not. Because I was looking at that scripture, I always have to go back to that where it said the man had the disease in his foot. And they say he trusted the physician, and the man ended up dying for trusting the physician. And that lesson always comes back to me like, we really ain't trusting y'all. And that bothers me, because I feel like I am short in his arm when I keep saying I trust him, but then I still gonna run to this physician to find out something, because a lot of things we know we are self-inflicting ourselves, that we just stop
herbs
I
to
know.
heal
And
his people.
I get to that. Then I'm like, but do man, will they know they giving me? Are they giving me the right herb, or am I using it? Is that enough herb? So do I?
That's where that faith comes in at. Like last night, I was at the fish place, and there was an older couple in there, and they looked like they was about 85, somewhere up in there a piece. And they got their food, and the man was holding the food, but his hands was kind of trembling. And he dropped the bag, and the onion rings, some of the onion rings came out. So the lady, she looks at me. He old. You know what I'm saying? She busted. The typical stuff, she's still doing it. She busted. He old. So I get up to get the bag because I see he kind of struggling to bend over and pick the bag up, right? And then she's sitting on the bench. She got her cane, and she can hardly get up. So I try to help her up, and when I walk up to their car, and she said, young man, when you get old, it is so hard when you get old. And she said, don't get old. She said, don't get old. I said, well, the only alternative to that would be to die. I don't want that. So that's crazy. Nobody wants to get old, but nobody don't want to die. What is that? Right? But she told me that. And as I'm watching her struggle to get up, I'm like, wow. In her younger days, and all throughout what she's still doing, she's still eating bad to put herself in this condition that she's in. Now, I can't tell her that.
What was
But
she eating?
they had onion rings and
Oh, I thought they were his onion rings.
they both was eating it. I don't know who was what, but I think they had catfish. But I'm looking at her in the condition like she don't know that she actually, the reason why half of what she's doing is because she's eating bad. She's still eating bad right here, right now. So I know that means she's been doing it her whole life. So part of this getting old thing is of course you're gonna slow down, but she like this because she's been eating bad. You know? So you gotta really be mindful of the eating bad and not taking care of yourself. Because that thing hit me. She says, young man, don't get old. Man.
Quick testimony about what just happened yesterday. I forgot what is the type of eye doctor, and just to check because he had prescribed some eye drops, and when I read the side effects, this was months ago when they prescribed it, they kept filling it, and I even told them at Kroger Pharmacy, I said, don't fill that anymore because I'm not going to take it. They said, we have to. Okay, I haven't taken it. I just went to check the pressure in my eye because when I went to get my glasses, they had checked the pressure in my eye and said that there was pressure. And I said, what does that mean? They said, well, that can be early signs of glaucoma, right? They would say, glaucoma. Right, glaucoma.
Of course, that's going to make you get scared. The normal, natural person is going to get scared off of that.
Right. Actually, I didn't get scared at all. I was like, oh, okay, that's something to work on. That's the way I thought of it. And so I did some research and stuff, and I got this natural herbs for eye pressure. And what I always try to do is read the reviews it or whatever. And so I've been taking notes, and I said, I'm going to go back just so they can check the pressure, and that will be my seeing if it's working, because even that, I'm no expert in the herbs, right? But I'm going back for them to do the test. So they did the test, and I said, what is it? She said 17, like I'm supposed to know what that number means. I said, what does that number mean? 17 in both eyes. She said, I said, how is that? She said, oh, that's good. That's normal. I said, praise God. I said it out loud right there. And everything was good until I told him. Everything was good. He's going to tell me, and he probably would attribute it to the eye drops. But see, what do you call side effects? We know about the side effects on the commercial, it make you laugh. Yes, this is for such and such, but it may make you suicidal. Right? So I told him, I said, especially because I have sinus issues and my eyes sometimes itch or dry. I said, when I read the side effects, make it feel like something's in your eye. I said, I couldn't stand that. I said, so I decided to research and find it natural. All of a sudden, his countenance changed. He was so nice at first. Well, I know that you know your own body. And it was like he got nervous. I'm sitting there just as calm, waiting for him to finish. And then, so I said, it's not like I don't take some things, but I say everything I try to, research. He said, well, whatever. And he said, if you want a second opinion, he's just going off nothing that I said I was going to do or whatever. But I saw how much it was bugging him. And well, if you decide you don't want to do it, if you decide you don't want to, why don't you do this? He switched while he was there. He said, well, you have glaucoma. I said, excuse me. I said, the last time I was here, I was told that I had some precursors for it. I said, which is it? I was very polite. And he's still being defensive. He said, well, glaucoma, it can't be cured. I said, well, I didn't say all that. I said the last time I was here, you told me that what was happening with my eyes, the pressure could cause glaucoma. And he said, well, it can't, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's nothing. I said, well, are you saying that your eye drops can cure glaucoma? Well, no, but look, if you want to go to another, if you don't want to come back here, just like, why are you tripping?
You hurt his money. You were about to hurt his money. He gets paid for them prescriptions. So when you wake up, the insurance company kicks in, so I can't have you doing that. You're going to go out and tell somebody else that, matter of fact, just get out. Get out. I don't want nobody, the other patients to hear you. You mess up my money. That's all it's about. So it wasn't nothing on that chat, right?
No.
All right. So we're gonna pray. We're gonna pray. We're gonna pray. We're gonna pray. Pray out. Pray out. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. Pray out. Pray out. Shayla. Here, Ed.
All hearts and minds clear. Father God, we come before you, Father, thanking you for the word that was given today, Father. Father, we ask that you allow it to sink deep into our minds, Father. And not only for us to hear it now, but to later on this week or later on in the day to go back and listen to it again, Father, to actually study the words that were given, Father. Father, give us a heart to be mindful of the spiritual realm that is around us, Father. We ask ask, Father, that you continue to have your angels around us, Father, protecting us, guarding us, guiding us, Father. Give us a heart, Father, to be kind, to love one another, those that are around us that we may not even know, Father. Father, we thank you for the words that you give, Father, for your word that you've given, the things that you've said, Father. We want to give you thanks for your blood that you shed, Father. The selflessness that you've given, Father. Father, we ask that you continue to walk with us in our lives, Father. Allowing for our feet to walk straight, Father. Father, we continue to pray for those who are down right now.
Yes, Father.
We continue to pray and ask, Father, that you bring healing to their homes, Father. And Father, we also ask that you put in us a mind to be more preventative for these situations, Father, to actually carry our body like it is a holy temple, Father, as you have said, Father. Keeping it clean, keeping it prepared, keeping it ready, Father. Father, we thank you again for your word. We thank you again for our teachers. And all these things we pray. We give you thanks, honor, and praise to your mighty and wonderful name, Yahuwah. By way, strength, and authority of your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, and your set apart Ruach. So be it.
So be it. Abinu Shema Shemaim, Ikadosh, Shemka, Tavo,